All right, gonna do a little walk around on my 2002 Pontiac Trans Am WS6 manual 6-speed. Last year model they made them. All factory body work, including the now very desirable and expensive ram air hood, original factory WS6 wheels. Lots of recent maintenance, few upgrades, very streetable and usable, idling, reliable car. I bought this as a semi-project. It needed some heads refreshed on it. Valve train. Typical around 100,000 miles on the LS1. They could use a valve train refresh, so we got LS7 rockers, trunnions, I forget all the other bits and pieces, but yeah, the original heads were refreshed. While we were in there, we put a new timing set, accessory pulleys, serpentine belt, water pump, some more odds and ends I'm forgetting. Engine mounts, transmission mounts, did a reinforcement girdle support on the rear end, did a 373 gear upgrade on that. Has 1 7/8 hooker long tube headers, 2 cat sport mid pipe, and hooker muffler and tips in the back, so full hooker exhaust. Sounds really nice. Good idle. I'll turn it on here in a second. Go ahead and get into the car. Interior is in very nice shape. I'll show you all the flaws. So as is typical with all 4th gens, everyone I've seen in the last couple years, they have this panel crack issue that they do. And it's in the same place on both doors. I'll show you the other one in a second. And it's very typical. What's also typical that thankfully this car doesn't suffer from is a dash crack, usually in the middle. This thing spends its life in the garage. It doesn't see a lot of sunlight on it. In fact, today is the most sun it's seen in about a month. But the more sun that panel sees, eventually it'll develop a crack down the middle, and everyone's looking for new dash pads on these cars. They don't make them anymore, so those are expensive, but this one doesn't need that or a dash removal, so that's nice. I also did a integrated cell phone mount with wiring there that goes over to the cigarette lighter plug right there, so you can have your phone up out of the way. And I also have a Bluetooth gadget. So there's a CD changer bypass accessory that I have, instead of hooked up to an iPod, I have it hooked up to a Bluetooth receiver, so I can actually Bluetooth my phone to the factory stereo. That's really slick. There's the factory Hurst 6-speed knob, obviously the transmission, 6-speed manual. Tiny flaw in the bolster on the driver's side, as you would expect from a 2002. And some scuffs for getting in and out of the vehicle, as you'd expect, and not much else really. The door trim and the weather seal's in really nice shape. Back seats never look like they've been sat in. Really nice condition. The whole car is extremely presentable. Like, there's nothing scrappy or really out of sorts with it. There's a small nick in the tint on the passenger side. I'll show you that. I never opted to retint the windows. They're not turning purple. It's a pretty high quality metallized film on the windows, so I didn't bother with changing it. But you can see that there, or can you? It's like right there. Little nick in the tent. Tiny bit of wear on this bolster, but obviously not where near as much as I showed you on the driver. Yeah, door trim, weather seal in great shape over here. Kind of similar condition on the back. You know, super presentable, super clean, like 9 out of 10. The whole interior is really like an 8.5 or 9 out of 10 in my opinion. Very nice for an 02 model car. I've seen a lot of these in a much rougher shape that have been used hard and put away wet. This is not that car. Military guy had this before I got it, and he loved it. he was switching to a more family-related vehicle. So yeah, wound up with this beautiful WS6. And let's see. Yes, I'll pop open the trunk. I have the factory alarm and an aftermarket one, so you can use either one to open the back. Yeah, get this up. I've got my car cover there. I keep the car parked in the garage and a car cover on it, so I'm one of those kind of guys. It means I really care about this car. I also did a antenna, integrated hidden antenna that wires and go into the headliner, so it deactivated the power to this so it doesn't stick up, and you don't run the risk of breaking it off, washing your car, or just having that stick up anymore. So it's much nicer just having that thing stay in the down position. But the AM FM radio still works for those wanting to listen to AM FM radios. Factory spares behind there, all of the jacking kit, all those accessories are in place. I did add a smoked third brake light, which looks really cool in a black car. I have the factory one in a closet at home if you want that, but the smoked one looks a lot nicer than the red one in my opinion on the black car. Let's pop the hood open, show you under there. I did a clever thing for a battery tender hookup. Got a pretty new battery on it, and that cable there goes to a cable down here that you can pull out. So I'm going to show you this, and you can hook up your battery tender right to that, so it makes keeping the battery topped up if you don't drive it that often. I drive it a couple times a month, so I usually keep the battery tender on it. Very convenient. So yeah, nothing too exciting here. Typical LS1 with SLP lid, obviously, because it's functional ram air. And it does have the Hotchkiss strut tower brace, which is very nice. Not that you can see all the goodies. Oh, I had a radiator put in it too. It needed one a couple months back. Yeah, serpentine belts, pulleys, all that stuff is fresh. You can see some of the header tubes there. And yeah, it looks like a stock LS1. Has a BTR Stage 2 cam in it, which you will hear. Sounds great. Going through those two cats. Hood latch is totally OEM. Like the fitment of everything is very tight and good. This isn't like a parts car or something that's been apart and put back together. It's a really nice example for one of these, at least compared to the ones that I was looking at when I was shopping for it. I'll just turn the motor over here. I should turn the radio off. I think I had the radio on earlier. Yeah, I'll just turn the radio off there. Yeah, so no check engine light, never had one, never had any real problems with the car. Just needed a handful of service done to it. That's the traction control button I can turn on and off, and obviously the seat belt light over there. Yeah, holds a nice cool temperature. I think we did 180 or 185 degree thermostat in it when we did the water pump. Obviously fresh battery, like I showed you, normal, 13, 14 volts, normal operation, and oil pressure, like it should have. Go outside, I'll let you hear what it sounds like idling. So there's the sound of that BTR Stage 2 cam. This thing is basically perfect. It's not forced induction, it's not crazy, it doesn't have idling problems. Idles normally, drives great. Made a little less than 400 horsepower to the wheels after having it tuned with the BTR Stage 2 cam, which is really the only significant performance upgrade apart from the full exhaust that it has. So yeah, it's making right what it should make, the mods that it has. And what that translates to is a really fun to drive car. It makes great power. 373s make it extra exciting on the acceleration. So the gears are a bit optimized. Still has a nice idle and drivability, along with acceleration and fuel economy with the manual 6. It's really difficult to find a reason to dislike this car, and believe me, I wouldn't be selling it if it weren't for the fact that I didn't have to place or have a place to put it where I'm moving to. So yeah, this is a garage only with car cover. You know, keep it out or keep it as nice as possible. I did a paint correction. It took me 2 days and a ceramic coat on this about a month ago. I've only driven it like 3 times since then. But this is one of those kind of cars. You definitely could drive it every day. It's not perfect. You know, it has a couple paint nicks. I can even get those on camera, but they're small and minor, kind of scattered all over the front end. As you can tell, the engine runs nice and quietly, and both of the running lights are working. But yeah, nice quiet running engine compartment like it should have. I gotta say, this is a really nice example. You could buy a cheaper car and put your time or somebody else's time and money into it to bring it to this level, or you could have this car to start. And yeah, it's up to whoever wants it, whatever the value of their time and what they would have for goals, what they're looking for. Some people want a project, so I'd say this car is like, I don't know, 90-95% what you possibly could want. Maybe there's some subjective things that you could change, but man, this is just great like it is. Oh, and I put 1-inch drop springs and new shocks and struts on it all the way around too, so it's got a nice, fresh, healthy suspension on it. Handles really well. You know, it's no light car, but it does handle well. Handles like a sports car. It's more of a muscle car. Straight line, everybody knows that on the 4th Gen F bodies. So I would say if you're in the market for a last year model manual WS6, it's not going to be difficult to own and be super rewarding and basically timeless. This black color is, it's a hard color to own like any black car, but it's totally worth it for the car that it is, and design, the style of it, I think it's basically perfect. That's why I picked it. I was looking for a black on black WS6 manual, and that's what I bought. And I feel like I've got a really nice version of this car. So yeah, I guess we'll call it with that. Go ahead and turn her off. As you can see, she's idling nice and steady. AC works. And we have the idle adjust. We tuned that on the HP tuner to accommodate the engine with the cam to give it a little bit more idle with the AC on, and makes it run a lot smoother with the AC running, which is a nice little tweak you can do on these. I also took out the skip shift, which some of you all know what it is, the 1-to-4 shift technology that GM did on these. That's disabled, and yeah, what can I say? Someone's gonna be super happy with it. I'm gonna be crying, but a little shift in life priorities, and I'll get back into something a little bit later that's hopefully as good as this on a Firebird. So there it is, my 2002 WS6 manual 6-speed.